Welcome back to the studio, everyone. I'm Carly Smith with Rob Washburn, bringing you 3 things to watch for week 1 of the CAA football season. Now, before we hit play, I want to pause and acknowledge UAlbany's week 0 efforts. The Great Danes picked up a 34-13 victory over Fordham last Saturday. Reese Poffenbarger had an outstanding night, threw for 253 yards and 4 touchdowns. And the Great Danes' defense recorded 8 sacks. So nicely done to the guys in upstate New York for setting the tone of the 2023 season. Okay, eyes forward. Our first thing to watch features one of the 2 conference games taking place this week. Delaware travels north to face Stony Brook for a very exciting and unpredictable matchup. Both teams have a ton of new faces on both sides of the ball, but one thing that is certain is the brand of football on display will be physical and tough, Rob.
Yeah, Carly, these are 2 programs that over the years have built their reputations on powerful rushing attacks on offense and aggressive attacking defenses. With the loss of numerous players from a year ago, both have turned to the transfer portal to bring in an experienced talent to fill those gaps. For the Blue Hens, many of the newcomers are on defense, where only 2 starters are back from an outstanding unit that ranked 4th in FCS, giving up only 18 points per game. Now, while there's still some familiar names like Chase McGowan and Dylan Traynor, Delaware will be counting on a host of newcomers, especially in the secondary, to keep the unit performing at a high level. Now, Stony Brook will try to jumpstart an offense that averaged just 15 points per game a year ago with quarterback Casey Case, who has spent the past 3 seasons at Buffalo. He will be joined by a pair of transfer running backs in Johnny Martin from Charlotte and Shakai Carson from Kent State. Now, you might need a roster card to learn some of the new names on the field on Thursday night, but you can bet that both teams will be ready to go for this conference opener.
Exactly. Get your rosters ready. All right, let's hear what Delaware's Ryan Carty and Stony Brook's Chuck Priori had to say about their opening games.
I know Coach Priori. I know that I've played against them multiple times when I was at the University of New Hampshire. I know I like to play there. I know how hard it is to play there. I know how hard-nosed and tough and physical and how much they fly around at Stony Brook. I know last year was an anomaly, and so we are prepared to get a pretty big fight on Thursday. And we're excited about it.
It's about getting the run game going. Maybe a few different ways of doing it, maybe some different formations and doing it. But and I'm an O-line guy, so we're not going to move far away from trying to be physically tough in the pits. And I believe in that defensively too. We've always been a top 5 team, 3 team defending the run. That can't change. And you win the line of scrimmage. I think every coach on this call will say, if you win the line of scrimmage, you got a chance.
As Coach Priori said, if you can win at the line of scrimmage, you've got a chance. Kickoff is on Thursday at 7 p.m. on Flow Football. Our next conference showdown is another highly anticipated matchup. The number 4 nationally ranked William & Mary Tribe heads to Bowie's Creek, North Carolina to usher Campbell into the CAA. William & Mary hungry to build off of last year's success. And Campbell, they've brought in speed, physicality, and a ton of talent to elevate their game for their first year in the league.
Yeah, no question. The expectations are certainly high in Williamsburg, where the Tribe is proud of its CAA championship, but still has a bad taste in its mouth from that quarterfinal playoff loss at Montana State. Now, most of the key elements return from the nation's 3rd-ranked rushing attack with backs Bronson Yoder and Malachi Emo and quarterback Darius Wilson running behind a veteran offensive line. Now, the defense is also loaded with pass rushers like Nate Lynn and John Pius up front, and plenty of experience behind them, including cornerback Jalen Jones, who had a pick 6 among 3 interceptions in last year's 37-21 win over the Camels. Now, Campbell returned several of the top players from a year ago, led by returning quarterback Haj Malik Williams, All-American offensive tackle Mike Edwards, and linebacker C.J. Tillman. But as you mentioned, Coach Mike Minter has brought in a highly regarded group of transfers and freshmen who have the size and speed he feels are necessary to compete in the CAA and are expected to make an immediate impact.
Now let's hear from William & Mary's Mike London and Campbell's Mike Minter on the matchup.
They got some preseason guys that were on, being noted, the offensive tackle, the kicker, or their linebackers. They have an outstanding athletic quarterback. And so you take those components and you add on other players, that have played in college football games, and you'll find out that there'll be some things that we've studied that they'll do that we hadn't prepared for. But the culmination of all camp's reps and things like that are going to have to carry us through this first game of the unknown until we start playing more teams and start getting film of other teams.
It's really a lot of non-football related things that you try to build the will of your team, the will of the individual. So when the moment comes, your will is bigger than your skill. And I think that's just so important for young people to get today, because so many of us rely on the skill. We think that's all it is. And, when you playing the William and Mary, man, they're going to touch the will of you, not just the skill of who you are.
As Coach Minter said, it's not always about skill, but the will to win. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. on Flow Football. You really don't want to miss this one. All right, our final thing to watch for this week 1 of the season is the Brick City HBCU Kickoff Classic. Hampton takes on Grambling State at Red Bull Arena on Saturday. This is a tremendous opportunity to showcase HBCU and CAA football talent to a national audience, Rob.
Yeah, what a great matchup between two programs with so much tradition and history dating back to Hall of Fame coaches Joe Taylor and Eddie Robinson. Hampton was a perfect 3-0 against non-conference opponents last season and is looking to get off to a similar start. Offensively, the Pirates have 3 quarterbacks with game experience and a pair of running backs in Darren Butts and Elijah Burris, who combined for 856 yards and 5 touchdowns last season. The defense has added some new faces, especially on the defensive line, but is anchored by All-CAA linebacker Quasin Townsend, who recorded 100 tackles a year ago. Now, Grambling was just 3-8 last season, but should be improved in the second year under former NFL head coach Hugh Jackson. Defensive lineman Sundiana Anderson is the SWAC preseason Defensive Player of the Year. Now, getting a chance to play a season-opening game on the NFL Network is a great showcase for both of these programs.
Sure is. Let's hear from Hampton's Robert Prunty on what he had to say about the nationally televised rivalry game.
Having a chance to coach in this game, and when you think about icons like Joe Taylor, a college football Hall of Famer, you get into Eddie Robinson, college football Hall of Famer, not just HBCU Hall of Famer. And being able to play this game again against Grambling, I think it's huge, but it's huge, not just for HBCUs, it's huge for college football, period. It's good for the game to have a game like this.
As Coach Prunty said, this game is good for football, period. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. in Harrison, New Jersey on NFL Network. All eyes on that one. Now here's a look at the rest of the Week 1 schedule in CAA football. For more information on all things CAA football, visit CAAfootball.com and at CAA Football on social media. Rob, off we go.